Hey guys, how's it going? John White here. We're going to talk a little bit today about how the best way to pay off our debt. So I'm going to give everybody a couple of seconds here to join this special broadcast here. Thanks so much for checking us out. Hard enough if you like this, or please feel free if you're live to chat anything in the chat box, and we will cover anything you want to discuss concerning paying off debt. So I'm going to give everybody here about 5-10 more seconds to join, and then we'll talk about becoming debt free. All right, well, welcome to those of you who joined. Again, my name is John White from jwfinancialcoaching.com, and today I just want to take some time here on a Sunday afternoon. Don't know what you're doing. If you're hanging out with family, that's great. If you're catching a replay, that's fine. That's what I love about Periscope is you can do this. It doesn't matter if anybody's on the broadcast or not because it's on there for 24 hours. You can go back and find what you're looking for going back in the archives. But on my first Periscope last week, we just talked about starting from scratch and starting that habit, how hard it is to do something. Well, one of the things I mentioned about doing in the habit forming is paying off our debt. Today I'd just like to kind of talk about the different ways that we can pay off our debt and ultimately discuss what the best way is. And when we're talking about that, I think everybody, if you're in the personal finance landscape, if that's your thing, if you do blogs, podcasts, you're a coach or financial planner, you'll say generally it's great to be out of debt. But when you ask people what's the best way to get out of debt and when to do it, you get a lot of variety of opinions. And that's another Periscope that we can talk about another time. But what we're going to focus today is consumer debt. And most notably, what's the best way? So I'm not going to talk about when to pay off your debt. Should you have an emergency fund first before you pay off your debt? Should you start saving into your 401k first to get the company match before you pay off debt? Should you make a certain amount of money first before you can start to aggressively pay off your debt? We're not going to talk any bit about that. I just want everybody to get on the same page and say, okay, let's look at it personally. Let's say I have consumer debt, which is not mortgage debt, and I'm ready to pay that off. What is the best way to actually become debt free? And whatever your number is, whether it's $10,000, whether it's $50,000, whether it's $100,000, anywhere in between, whether you have one big student loan or you have several student loans, some credit cards, a car loan, you have multiple forms of debt, you just have one kind of debt, it doesn't matter. I'm just talking about getting out of consumer debt today. And let's pretend that you had that mindset, I want to get out, what's the best way to do it? Well, there's really three main ways when we're talking about consumer debt, how to pay off it. Three main methods that people will talk about. We'll briefly tell what each one is. I think most of you out there know them. The first one is the debt snowball method, which is you list all your debts, smallest on top of the page, largest at the bottom. And when you're doing your monthly budget, you make all of your minimum payments, and any extra money that you have out of your budget, you take and you apply it to the one on your top list, which is your smallest debt. Regardless of the interest rate, regardless of the payment, you focus on the small stuff first, knock that out. Then, with all that extra money now you have, you go down to the number 2 debt on your list and you knock that out. Whether it's a $10,000 loan or a $500 loan, you put any extra money each and every month on that smallest loan. And you work your way down until you get to the biggest debt, and that's when you have all this cash flow and you can apply it to your last debt, and then ultimately you become debt free. And what the advantages of that is essentially is it gets you focused and it gets you in that mentality of paying off debt really fast, and you get these what we call quick wins. Because you're paying off your small debt, you're paying off that $500 credit card, that $1,000 credit card, that $100 Macy card you had from last Christmas, and you knock those out, and so suddenly your list goes from like 8, and in a couple months it's down to 4. And you get that momentum. It's like a snowball. That's why it's called the snowball method, and it just goes on down, and that carries you as you pay off the rest of your debt. Excuse me. The second main method is where you list all of your debt from the highest interest rate first to the lowest interest rate first. And that is mathematically the best rate. So any extra money you pay on that highest interest rate, which if you have credit card debt, it's probably going to be that 18% credit card statement that you have. You knock that out. But you keep on going down until you get to the lowest interest rate, and that's the last debt you pay off. And the theory behind that is that saves you the most in interest in the long run. And mathematically, if you're doing the number crunching, That's the best way to pay off your debt. And then the other method, which I've heard, and I don't know a whole lot of people doing it, but it kind of makes sense, is you list all your debts from the largest payment down to the smallest payment, and you focus all of your attention on that largest payment, whatever it is, whatever that balance is. You knock that out, and that frees a whole bunch of cash flow for you, and then you can keep going down your list until you get down to the bottom. And let me just say, there's a lot of debate about this. The best way to pay off your debt is whatever works for you, and what ultimately is going to make you focus and force you to pay down the debt the fastest, and what's ever going to keep you motivated to get going. Now, my preference is, if I'm working with people and when I'm coaching, I do the debt snowball method. I like that. Now, I'm a numbers guy. I have my degree in accounting, and so I get when you're saying the interest rate method is the best way. But with the snowball, what happens, and I've seen it before, is debt is not a mathematical problem necessarily. Because if it was a mathematical problem, let's be honest, we would probably never go in debt again. Because you would never go into it saying, yeah, 18% interest on this credit card, that's a great idea. No, it happens, you stumble upon it, you have an unexpected job loss, and you're just unprepared, and so you turn to these credit cards or whatever to take in debt. Or you're young, you don't even look at the student loan, or you think, oh, everybody has student loans, so I have to have a student loan payment, and I'll just pay those back later. But you never think of, wow, if I take out $50,000 of student loan, how that's going to impact my life when I'm 25 or 30. Or you believe that myth, hey, everyone has a car payment, so it doesn't matter. Everyone has a car payment, so I just got to have a car payment. I get that. But with the debt snowball method, in my opinion, it's the best way, is it forces you to look at it and puts it on paper, and it keeps you motivated, because you can make progress and say, oh wow, if I pay $200 extra a month on this debt, I can knock it down from having it paid off from 4 months down to 3 months. Or this $10,000 student loan, if I work an extra job and I make $400 extra more a month on that payment, that's going to take a whole year off of that student loan balance. I'm going to do that. Where when it's mathematical and you're just looking at interest rate, you might not be as apt to pay an extra $200 on your student loan when it has a 3% interest rate, or that 0% credit card once you get to the very bottom. Everybody will be aggressive when you're paying off that high interest debt, but if you kind of slowly pay off that debt that's only 2 or 3% interest, it's not that big of a deal. Well, the people I usually work with, is they don't actually pay off the debt. They never become debt free. But if you're doing the debt snowball method, you're focused and you're geared towards becoming debt free and paying down that debt, and ultimately you get there. But like I said earlier, the best way to pay off the debt is whatever works for you, whatever's going to keep you motivated. If you're a number cruncher and the thought of paying a cent more in interest than you mathematically could just prevents you from doing the debt snowball method, and you just don't even do it and don't even pay off your debt, well, I'd rather you focus and pay off your debt with the highest interest rate first. It really doesn't matter. But I want you to become debt-free and pay off that debt, because I have seen, just in my life, not only in my life, but in other people's lives as well, what happens when you're debt-free. And it's not just a financial thing. It's not a bank account thing where your money keeps growing higher and higher. It's simply more than that. And it's hard for me to explain, and I guess I can't express the feeling this, but it's this peace and knowledge that you have control of your money, and that your family's budget and your bank account is your money and not some other person's money, and you do smarter things with it, and you pay attention more, because a lot of times we kind of get numb to the fact that we have debt, and it's just like, here's my paycheck, it's going to go all out to Toyota, Sally Mae, Citi, Ford, etc., etc. But when we're debt-free, we realize all this money is ours, and the potential is limitless. The options that you have when you're debt-free, it's amazing of what you can do, not just from a financial area, but from a spiritual level, from a career level, from a family level, from a giving perspective. It is truly amazing, and it's more than just finance. It's about your economy and doing things that you want to do with your money. Well, that's all we have for today. Hey, thanks so much for checking me out. Please, if this is the first time you followed my Periscope, please follow me. I'd love for you to join in on more and heart it up and leave some feedback on the Periscope as I talk about money, and I'm going to talk about some more different things here in the upcoming months. related to just personal life and sports and books and all kinds of stuff. So check us out at Periscope, or follow my blog, jwfinancialcoaching.com, or follow me on Twitter at jwfincoaching. That's all we have for today. Thank you so much and for stopping by, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.